My partner's family make me feel like a third wheel when I'm with them. For context, my partner and I have been together almost 5 years and live together. I have met his family before, but they live far from us, so the only other time was 2 years ago around the holidays when we spent the week at their home. He is very close to his family and talks to them multiple times a week. This weekend, they, parents and sibling, came to visit him after not having seen him for about a year and a half. I insisted that they stay at our place. He had originally been planning on booking a hotel, so that they could spend more time together and be under the same roof, and also treated them to a nice dinner on their first night in the city. We went exploring around town and got to a scenic place with a nice photo opportunity. His mom proceeded to say we should get a family photo. Maybe we can ask my name if she could take a photo for us. Then she proceeds to ask me to take multiple photos in different spots for their family of 4 before offering to get a shot of just me and him. This happened multiple times through the course of their stay. It definitely hurt my feelings and made me feel like an outsider to not be included in a single photo. How I was raised, it's just common courtesy to include everyone in photos like this so that no one feels like the odd one out. It's not like you need to keep the photo or hang it on your mantle. Geez. I would of course have offered to take a photo with just the family too, but it was just bizarre to me how they didn't even bother to ask me to participate, especially when I was already in the position of being the outsider as the only non-family member there. Other stuff. We would go on walks and his parents would walk ahead and make zero attempt to make conversation with me. There were literally times where I was trailing behind the 4 of them and just walking by myself, having to pick up my pace to keep up. His parents just got back from Italy and brought back gifts for him, but none for me. I was taught that when you are coming to stay with someone, you never come empty-handed. When I visited them and stayed at their home, I put a bunch of time into picking out a thoughtful gift that they enjoyed, so I also felt this was inconsiderate on their part. I'll admit I was raised with a particular set of expectations for social etiquette that my parents have instilled in me that strongly emphasize generosity/hospitality, so I am second guessing whether or not part of these things that make me upset is unreasonable or not, just a cultural/environmental difference. It just makes me feel disrespected, like some random person who happened to tag along on their family outing instead of a person who has been in a committed relationship with their som for half a decade. Should I mention it to him or not? I really don't see them that often, less than once a year, so I feel like it's not even worth mentioning, as I don't want to create drama or an additional worry for him, as I feel he has a lot of life stressors. ATM. Comment. His parents were likely also raised with a particular set of expectations for social etiquette, largely that until there's a wedding you're simply not part of the family. This is typical to point of almost universal in people of their age cohort. So if you and yours have decided not to marry but to live as life partners, and hopefully at least get a domestic partnership contract, your boyfriend needs to sit his parents down and explain this. He needs to tell them that to him you're a wife and he expects them to treat you like one. You haven't indicated that he took any action at all, so you can't be sure what he's telling them now about you. But it definitely sounds like you were treated very much like a casual girlfriend rather than a serious life partner. You might want to make sure you and this guy are on the same page about the nature of this relationship. He just may not regard it with the same level of permanence that you seem to. This sounds really off. Normally a potential spouse's parents really want to know all about the gal he's with, and make her feel included in the family. And your expectations for social etiquette are not off the mark. That's pretty standard. If his family does not approve of you, then they can cause all kinds of trouble in the future. Something to definitely hash out with the BF. Next story 2. I am struggling to move forward after things my best friend said about my boyfriend. Last week my best friend confronted me about things my boyfriend has said to her and a few of our female friends. To summarize, she stated that it was mostly compliments that he had given. I know my boyfriend's big, bubbly personality and he meant zero harm by these comments and just was trying to be friendly. My best friend did not have concrete, good examples of exact things he said either. Instead she brought up things he said 3+ years ago when we were in the middle of a pandemic and everyone was going through a hard time. Her and my BF haven't even seen each other in weeks, so it's not like he said something recently that would have sparked this. Most of these examples seem like a big misunderstanding where instead of asking my boyfriend for clarification on something he said, she just gets instantly mad at him even though she's the one taking it out of context. She also brought up that her mother doesn't like him for really petty, stupid reasons. She also said that I do too many nice things for my BF and she feels like he takes more than he gives. She doesn't know all the little things he does for me, and even so what? I can help and give to my boyfriend as much as I like if I want. As long as I feel good about it. Meanwhile she's telling me all of this after I spent 2+ hours making an entire dinner for her and can't tell you the last time she did something nice for me. I then had a conversation with my boyfriend about it and his instant reaction was that he was so sorry if he ever made anyone uncomfortable with his words. He would never want that and promised he'd be more aware about the compliments he gives. He was extremely mature about it and did not get defensive once. The people my best friend mentioned that were upset with my boyfriend, we saw them over the weekend, and I watched them chat, laugh, and have a good time with my boyfriend. No one in my life has issues about my boyfriend. My parents, family, and other friends have spent a lot of time with him. They have zero issues with him and love him. I've asked others what they think about him. And my mother would absolutely tell me if there was something she didn't like. She never holds back. I'm pretty upset with my best friend and how she handled this. I feel like it came out of nowhere and was just her way of saying that her and her mother don't like my boyfriend. We've been friends for 28 years and I have always supported her and her previous relationships, even when I wasn't crazy about them. The way I looked at it, if they were important to her, they were important to me. Also, my BF and best friend have a friendship outside of me. They've hung out before, we've all hung out together, and before this my best friend was telling me that she missed the times we would all hang out. So I'm really confused. I think if my best friend had an issue with something my BF said, she should have talked directly to him about it. I'm not responsible for what my BF says, he is. We're all adults and I know my boyfriend would have worked to resolve this with her. I have a lot of anger and sadness now and don't know where I go from here. I've been a people pleaser my entire life and feel like I need to put some boundaries down. How do I move on with my best friend knowing she dislikes my BF? I'm not sure how to not let it impact our friendship. Should I have a conversation with her about how moving forward she should work to resolve anything my BF says directly with him instead of putting me in the middle? And should I tell her that she could work to try to better understand my BF given that a lot of these are miscommunications? I think even saying "what do you mean by that" or "could you clarify that point" would truthfully resolve 99% of the issues she has with him. I don't think it should be just on my BF. Or do I just ignore it and not bring it up, but now I'm better prepared for if she brings it up again? Next story 2. My BF said he'd break up with me if a man offered me a lighter. I'm appalled, to be honest. A little sad, very angry, but mainly just appalled. We've been together for over a year and today he went to a concert. He had a joint and asked around for a lighter. Apparently no one had one, until one guy was like, "Hold up, my GF might have one." His GF gave my BF a lighter, my BF shared the joint with the couple and their friends and then left. Anyway, I didn't really care until he told me that he'd break up with me if the situation were reversed. I thought it was a joke, so I repeated myself, me platonically being offered a lighter by a man, with his GF right next to him, would genuinely be all it takes for you to break up with me. He confirmed this. And now I'm devastated. I obviously pointed out how insane this double standard was and that I had no idea how little our relationship meant for that to be all it takes to end it. He insisted it was different and that he's just super protective over me, but I honestly feel disgusted. He also told me how his girlfriend's feet hurt so he gave her his shoes. I thought that was kind of BF behavior, and of course he admitted that if the situation were reversed and a guy gave me his shoes then he'd dump me. Now this guy is probably the sweetest guy in the world, chivalrous, generous, and I have no doubt that he loves me a lot. I just don't know how to proceed knowing there's such a massive double standard. Practically it hardly affects me because I don't have any male friends, but mentally I'm devastated knowing he has these strange standards that he himself has no intention of fulfilling. Is it worth getting an outside opinion? Couples therapy? Trying to get him to change his standard? I don't want to resort to breaking up because he means a lot to me, but also I cannot realistically be in a relationship this unequal, and I think it will have massive consequences in the future if it doesn't get nipped in the bud now. E.g., what if I stop working remotely and have male co-workers? Comment. He's not sweet. What you're perceiving as chivalry and generosity are actually chauvinistic sexism. He seems sweet now because you're compliant with his ideas about how you should behave. The minute you have a male co-worker or, God forbid, friend, he won't be sweet anymore. He's telling you who he is and how he will treat you. Believe him. He is telling you that accepting a small innocent kindness from anyone other than him is an unforgivable offense. That's not standards, that is controlling and unhinged. Don't stick around to find out how he acts when you don't meet his standards. A man like this is dangerous. There are lots and lots of people out there. Breaking up with someone at 21 isn't likely to be the one choice that sends your life down a terrible path. And as harsh as this sounds, if you get in the practice of standing up for yourself and your boundaries, it gets easier every time you do it. It's a very important life skill for women in particular to learn. Yes, this guy is being possessive and controlling. That isn't sweet, it isn't protective. It is scary and could easily go down an abusive path. Ending an unequal relationship with someone who is emotionally immature at best, unhinged at worst, is unlikely to have long-term negative consequences. Falling into an abusive relationship dynamic at 21 will. You absolutely are not making the wrong decision. You're not dating a mature person, you're dating an emotionally immature person pretending to be what he thinks maturity looks like. He feels threatened by you accepting something from another man because he's afraid it will expose him for what he really is. If he was mature, and really as chivalrous as he appears, he'd be comfortable enough to thank the dude for providing his GF with a small kindness he wasn't able to at the time. Also, the giving her his shoes thing is creepy and likely bullshit. It's exactly the kind of situation a person that's pretending to be chivalrous, white knighting as it's often called, would make up because they think that's what maturity looks like. He will not loosen up, he will only tell you what you want to hear to keep you around and then throw it back in your face later that he lowered his standards for you. Nothing will make him realize he's being absurd, because his goal is not to have reasonable relationship expectations, his goal is to control you and make you walk on eggshells to please him. So you'll go through this relationship with a ticking time bomb attached to you. He'll dump you for pretty much any reason he wants, since logic isn't involved in his decision-making process. He's a selfish moron. Ever notice the guys that are chivalrous are also the guys that expect more traditional roles in a relationship? Chivalry is a way to make women blind to how one-sided traditional relationships are. They are the type of dude that buys you dinner but they expect something in return. They're the type of dude that buy you jewelry and makeup, but expect you to get all dolled up every time you're out in public. They're the type of dude who cooks you a fancy meal on Valentine's Day, but expects you to make him dinner 6 days a week. They're the type of dude that opens your car door for you, but doesn't go down on you.